Hello, English 102 class. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about a few things I've noticed in your writing and point you to a few tools that I think might be beneficial to you. So I've got some stuff up open over here, and let's take a look at it. The first thing I want to look at is this MLA format and document design. So when we talk about document design, there's a lot of principles here, but ultimately we're just talking about when I look at the document, what language does it have in terms of where letters are that's clear to me. And the first one is an MLA heading. I've got a couple of links in here that will become relevant later, but I want you to use MLA headings generally just as practice. I'm not going to take points off, you'll notice, for if you don't have an MLA heading on your assignments, except for major essays, but I would like for you to go ahead and do those. So just so you know, for the standard MLA heading, you want your name, you want my name, you want the class, and then you want the due date. And the due date's in MLA. It's sort of strangely formatted. If something were due today, you would type out 17 September 2025. And while it is a little odd for us, note it does go from smallest to largest time period. So I guess that kind of makes sense. And then you always want to include a centered title. And your title shouldn't be like assignment 4, right? It should be, you know, a real title. I don't know. There's a title, right? Some sort of title. And then we'll go back aligned left. You'll notice I'm single spaced here. I do like single spaced stuff. It's not technically MLA format, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, we'll do the templates in a second, a little bit about paragraphing. I think that was supposed to be at the bottom, but a little bit about paragraphing. So when you're writing single spaced paragraphs, you can use, and I'll use these as an example. There we go. When you're writing single-spaced paragraphs, and we'll just delete that right there. Oh no, now I've done it. You can elect not to indent and instead to leave a space like that. I think this is the clearest design right here. You know, we're using spaces efficiently. This is how I prefer to read material, is single space, no indentation. It's not technically MLA format though. Technically MLA format is everything is double spaced and you have tabs to begin the paragraphs. Either way, you're going to be fine. What you don't want to do is mix and match those, right? So you don't want to do this and you don't want to do this where you're using these huge triple spaces, right? So if you're going to do the standard MLA format, it looks like that. So keep that in mind as you're creating your documents. You'll also need headings, or your heading up here, you'll need a header, which is for some reason named just about the same thing. So insert, and then go down to page. Where is page? Where is it? I have these set up automatically, so I don't ever see them. We'll talk about setting up. Oh, it's because they moved it. Those sneaky Pete's. And then your last name up there at the top. Okay. So you'll note I'm doing all this in Google Docs. I strongly recommend you use Google Docs or the full version of Microsoft Word. Don't use the online version that you access through the mypoint.edu. Because it just is missing features. And we'll talk about some of those features now. You have templates available through the online writing lab from Point University, and I will now navigate there. So I'll post a link to add this Canvas shell. It's free to the description of this video, but this has some stuff for you, some tools. It has some AI tools, and I'm going to expand these a little bit probably in the next 2 or 3 days, so there will be more there. It also has these formatting templates. So you can click this to download a template for Microsoft Word. You can view the MLA sample paper from the Purdue OWL, or you can click here to open the Google Docs template, which looks like this. So the Google Docs template has everything you need for MLA formatting, including a guide to using Google Docs citation tools. So if you go to Tools and Citations, you'll see you can choose your formatting type, add your source type, and all of that. And you've probably used this for citation machines before, and then it will show up right here, right? So whenever you want to cite that source, all you have to do is go over here and click Cite, and it will drop the citation in for you. Let's delete that back out. And then when you get to the end of your paper, you can just go insert works cited, and it will drop the works cited in for you, and it will format that automatically. Do note that you have to add the page numbers or delete the little number sign there when you drop that in. It's really useful. I think it saves a lot of time. It helps you keep in mind where everything goes, and you can just double click and replace in order to fill this out. So if I were working on an MLA paper at any point, right, this is what I would do, just because I have a hard time remembering where the commas go in citations and all of that. For my dissertation, I used Microsoft Word at the time, but I would use Google Docs now. I think it's just a much better way of managing sources and managing your energy. Looking up how to actually cite stuff in MLA format, I think is a waste of time when there's a template available. Use the template so that you can apply your brain energy to other stuff. One final note here on document design. I want to encourage you when you're writing paragraphs. Only a handful of you have had this major issue so far, but it tends to crop up as the papers start coming in and they're longer and longer. Make sure that your paragraphs are a reasonable length. If a paragraph is too long or too short, that can be distracting. So right here, we've got good lengths. I would say this is a pretty standard length paragraph right here. But if your paragraphs start to look like this, I just want you to notice what happens when we put this in here like this, right? And let's zoom in a little bit. Once the paragraphs start getting really long like this, where we're extending past a page, it becomes almost intimidating to read. It's difficult to chunk the information meaningfully. So make sure that your paragraphs generally aren't going, I would say the max is 3/4 of a page, which is about where this one is because of the heading and the header and the title and all of that. But past that, you really need to start thinking of a spot to break up your paragraphs a little bit. Okay, so next we want to talk about how to narrow a topic. So you're going to be doing another round of your topic proposal where you basically say, I've done some research now and I'm thinking it through in these different ways. So here's my new topic proposal. A really broad topic makes it hard to write enough. I know that might make it seem easier, but the opposite is actually true. The narrower your topic, the easier it is to write more. So what I want you to do is think about the personal and the local and what you can actually change. So I know that the articles that we're writing about tend to address things in this big, global sort of or historical context, and that's very true. But I want you to be thinking in terms of how can I take this information and really practically apply it? What are the implications for me and for my community? And that's a tough task, but doing that process does help you narrow things down. And it's specifically that narrowing that is going to make the task meaningful for you, right? If you're just writing about something that's sort of abstract and out there, I mean, who cares, right? If it ends with me in terms of audience, which most of the writing for this class does, sometimes people will take it and share it with others. But if it ends with me and it's only about some general out there topics, unless amongst the, hundreds and hundreds of essays I'm going to grade this semester, yours is the one that I let influence my life the most, then otherwise it doesn't do anything. So make sure that the writing of the essay itself is relevant to you. It should be something that, having written it, you feel more powerful and better equipped to do something. It needs to go beyond just here's sort of this vague stuff out here. So try and make it personal, make it local, try to think of things that you can directly influence. There's also a bot that I will link in the description of this video below the link to the Canvas shell. And that bot will help you find relevant articles and relevant search terms. And it's just called ResearchBot. I made it so it's fine to use for this class. I encouraged some of you in comments on your on the Canvas course itself, like individual comments, to use the bot. But I was thinking about it, and I would like to make it, I would like to put it on everyone's radar, just because it's really good at finding these sort of academic articles and things to which you ought to be responding. And then finally, talk with a friend and go for a walk. I know this might seem like lame advice or obvious advice, but so much of our thinking is done in communication and it's done in dialogue. And it's just hard to get that when you're writing alone with yourself and it's just the screen. And so going for a walk and talking with a friend, those things are things that I consider work, and I do consider them writing. Now, when you are actually like, in front of the keyboard clickety clacking, yeah, that's what we usually think of as writing. But that's really just translating the thoughts you have onto the page. And if you have taken time to talk with others and to think about and to be in a comfortable environment with those thoughts, then the result is the actual translating of thought to the page is much smoother. So please feel free to do that. I also really quickly want to do a quick review from 101 because I think this might help you as you're thinking of structuring an argument. So the 101 textbook is They Say, I Say. And this follows before I get in trouble, an academically Marxist structure of thesis, antithesis, synthesis. There's nothing about, economics or government here. This is just how ideas sometimes move. So the thesis, if you're structuring your paper, you can say there's a lit review where you're saying, hey, this is what other people are saying, and that's the they say, right? And this, academically might say, is the thesis, the main idea that you're responding to. Then there's counter arguments, the antithesis. And this is where you're complicating ideas and saying, but what about this thing? And then there's your argument, which is the synthesis. Knowing that this is what some people are saying and these are problems with that, I say that we should do this. Now, do you have to write your paper according to this structure? Absolutely not. You do not have to do that. However, if there is a skeleton there to begin with, they say this, other people say this, but I say this, then I think it makes it easier to begin composing. And oftentimes in the composing, a different structure will emerge. Totally fine. But having this idea as just some solid ground to launch off of, I think can help you. So again, that's the here's what all my sources say. Here are problems with that, or what some people say is wrong with that approach. And then I'm saying this. That is one way to initially ground your essay. Okay. And then finally over here, and this is kind of a tough one. I want you to have a unique voice. So not everyone who is writing in a way that sounds like AI is using AI to generate their work. And that's I'm aware of that. If I have marked you down a few points on an assignment and said, hey, this sounds like AI, I'm not saying, hey, you're a cheater. I'm saying, hey, the tone that you have, the sentence structure, your turn of phrase, it sounds exactly like AI. And I catch myself doing this all the time too, because I use ChatGPT constantly. I think it is a great tool, provided you keep it in the tool place and know its limitations. So I'm not saying that you are using AI to generate your work, but there's this thing called dialect leveling where people with different accents, if they all move into one spot, the accents kind of blend and merge until everyone has a new accent that kind of sounds the same. Because so many people are chatting with and writing with AI, the result is that we have this dialect leveling with our writing, where everybody starts to use the same kind of average sentences and average sentence structure. And that voice is becoming increasingly noticeable. So you need to have a unique voice, which is harder to do, but more important than ever. In fact, at a conference I was at recently, there were teachers who were saying they enjoyed finding errors in student papers and no longer counted off for them because that meant the student wrote it and not AI. We're seeing a shift in what's valuable because the kind of middle of the road, error-free writing that AI produces is so ubiquitous and easy. It's a market thing. The market is flooded with error-free writing, so the value of error-free writing goes down. The market is starved for unique voices and honest voices. And so I want you to make sure that you are using your unique and your honest voice. I will make sure to post the links to this video, or the links mentioned in this video, to the Canvas shell and to the, what was the other thing? Canvas shell. Oh, and the research bot for you. But if you have any questions, of course, please feel free to reach out, send me an email, send me a text. And great work so far. I am really excited about a lot of the work that y'all are doing. The proposals I'm getting for this class and the research you're doing are really fantastic. And I look forward to reading your papers. Thanks, guys.